So just how good is Approach of the Second Sun? Is it going to continue to see play in New Standard? Well, one thing's for sure, there's plenty to talk about with Ixalan on the horizon. Hey, it's Vincent here from Vincent Games, your untapped source of MTG info, tips and discussion. This last weekend just gone, we had English Nationals, and it was pretty exciting, I have to tell you. Ixalan was running the show, and as usual, they've done a fine job. There was inflatable dinosaurs and pirate hats all over the place, and the event itself was as smooth as these things can be, and just all round really, really good. My performance, I guess I should start with, first of all, I did not do particularly well. I got there on the Friday and I managed to smash a GP, keep calling them GP trials, it's not a GP, last chance trial to award myself 2 buys for the main event. And it was 5 rounds of single elimination, so I did really well. Got my 2 buys, which was amazing. And the 3rd round I played the mirror match. The deck I was playing was blue-white Approach of the Second Sun, so lots of control cards, lots of card draw, lots of ways to dig to Approach, to basically just win the game by casting Approach of the Second Suns. It's a really good deck, and my reason for choosing it for this tournament was I fully expected Teamer to be very present in the standard portion. The format overall for Nationals was 3 rounds of standard, 2 drafts, each draft consisting of 3 rounds, and then another 3 rounds, I believe, after that of standard. So for the standard elements, that was my weapon of choice, and in the trials, at least, I played three team matches, and I played brown and red twice. And you might look at a control deck and think, oh, it's another very good matchup against red. But the good thing about blue-white is it's got a lot of life going through Blessed Alliance, Fumigate, and after boarding it has Authority of the Councils, which was just fantastic against that matchup. It's really just not what they want to be seeing, and it works really well against the whole, loads to the ground creature-based aggro decks. So the deck did very well against the decks that I was trying to kind of pry upon, which was really good. And after the 3rd round, I essentially just went completely downhill. I lost every draft round in round 1, and I got a bye in round 4 because the guy that I was going to play just dropped. And so after that point, I dropped. I didn't realise the prizes were going to be worth sort of staying in the main event for, so I did a modern side event the next day. And that was a bit of a mistake. I should have stuck around for the Planeswalker points anyway, but also just to try and get some sort of prizes after that, because the modern event I did afterwards, we were never going to have a chance to do well in, because we had to get our train, and so that was a bit of a wash as well. So it's a bit of a shame, really. I should have just stuck in the main event and not paid for the side event, but it meant I got a second promo, the Inkmoth Nexus promo, which is really cool. I'll try and grab that actually, because I've got it somewhere, and it is quite a decent little card. So the main learning for me, here it is. The main learning for me, just do this little close up first of all. It's not the best lighting, unfortunately, for this, but yeah, that's the promo. So yeah, it's cool to get a second one. But yeah, the big learning for me, the big takeaway for this was I need more limited practice. I had done some amount of drafts. I think I've done 2 or 3 drafts in the weeks building up to it. I would have liked to have done more, obviously, but I just didn't have enough time to get more practice in the build-up. However, I've had all the time before that to get good at limited, in particular this format. I found myself thinking before I went in, I'm a half-decent limited player. I know a lot of the things I want to be doing in a draft, but when it came to Hour of Devastation, I was finding myself looking at 2 good on-colour playables and just not having the slightest clue which one I wanted to pick. They were both fine on curve, but I just didn't know which one was just better than the other. And reflecting on that, I was thinking, I don't ever want to be in that position again, where I'm just looking at cards and thinking, I just don't know which one's better. If I was wanting to do well in that event, that shouldn't be that should not be a hurdle. So it's allowed me, at least after the event, to really kind of think about what I need to focus on, and that is drafting and sealed in a very, very big way. I use Magic Online for a lot of constructed, and in the build up to this tournament I played a lot of leagues with Black White Zombies because I wanted to try and come at the tournament from sort of left field. Play a Zombies deck, a good aggro deck, but with White, I believe that it could have some tools to beat Teamer, which is normally not a great matchup for Zombies, especially after boarding. But I put a lot of time into that. I don't know if I put a lot of time into it, I put a bit of time into that. Realised it wasn't strong enough, so then focused on blue-white and put a lot of time into just playing matches of blue-white and getting really good, learning that deck and feeling, getting a feel for the sideboards and matchups, and that was really good practice, and I feel I did very well for that. Even though I didn't play many standard matches in the main event, the trials leading up to it was very good, so I did play relevant standard matches, and the practice I put in with constructed really paid off. However, when it came to the draft, my overall knowledge of the format was so low that I couldn't just rely on my ability to draft. That wasn't nowhere near enough. I hadn't practiced enough, so therefore my ability to draft, wasn't up to scratch anyway, and my knowledge of the format and all that stuff was just not there, and that was really, really apparent, and a bit of a shame that I didn't get more practice in. But that being said, I'm looking to the positive, and I'm going to put lots of work in for the upcoming GP in Liverpool and practice for that tournament. I do not want to be going to Liverpool and be sitting there staring at a sealed pool and thinking, what the hell am I doing with this pool? I have no idea. So that is not going to be a mistake I'm going to be repeating. So that was Nats, and it's given me a lot to think about moving forward. And speaking of moving forward, pre-release is this week, and therefore New Standard is really not that far away now, and there's going to be some brewing, I can tell you. With all the dinosaurs and pirates, there's going to be plenty of decks that are going to be thrown around. But as I alluded to in the intro of the video, I am most interested about blue-white approach of the Second Sun. The deck loses quite a little bit in the form of some lands. It gets some new lands as well with the new dual lands, but more importantly, it loses Blessed Alliance, which was a big game for that deck. It loses Stasis Snare and Immolating Glare as well. And at the moment with the spoilers, I haven't seen anything that really replaces that on any kind of similar level. So you're going to have to look to things like Farm to Market or Sandblast. Maybe this is kind of the problem with it. Like the replacement kind of cards aren't that great. It does gain Spell Pierce and Opt though as potential options that could be played, which are both very, very good. Vehicles continues to be a thing. I know English Nationals had a lot of vehicle decks in the top spots, and if that continues to be a thing, being able to Spell Pierce a Heart of Kieran, Aethersphere Harvester, or any kind of Planeswalker is going to be really, really relevant. Spell Pierce Chandra is nice. So there's some definite options there, and I think moving forward in New Standard, we're definitely going to see a vehicles deck, we're definitely going to see a Teamer deck. They're the two most obvious decks that we can see, and Ramonut Red as well. That's the other obvious deck. So those three decks are going to be very much a thing, and people have been talking online and stuff saying that new dinosaur, the Hexproof Uncountable Dinosaur, Carnage Tyrant, I think it's called, it is just going to be stomping all over control. But for me, I just think that it's more the point that there's a lot of aggressive decks in the meta at the moment, and control decks have lost a lot of mana lands, so blue-black control might be good moving forward. It lost Grasp of Darkness though, so I'm not really sure where control looks to be unless it is blue-white approach with the Second Suns, as that does have a good Teamer matchup and a decent red matchup. I definitely think that approach to the Second Sun is something that you don't want to sleep on. I think it's going to be a presence in the meta for as long as that card remains in Standard. As the format moves on, approach to the Second Suns will definitely be somewhere in there, and it's a very strong deck. It's very hard for creature-based aggressive decks, or even just mid-range, to interact with outside of cards like Lost Legacy or Counter Magic. So those kind of decks do have a real hard time actually closing out games and putting pressure on it, unless the control deck stumbles or what have you. So I think it's a very strong contender and one to look out for. Dinosaurs are also going to be featured in New Standard, so obviously. I don't think the Pirates are as strong And the only card that really excites me, there's two cards that excite me for Pirates, and that's Captain Lannery Storm. I think it is the 3 mana red 2/2 that has haste. When it attacks, you get a treasure. That card's really good. And I think it's 4 mana one, which exiles a creature when it enters the battlefield, the blue-black one, Hostage Taker. Those two cards are really good, and very interested to see what kind of impact they have on Standard. I think they'll be I think they'll definitely both see play on some level. So that is what I expect from the early days of Standard, not just for blue-white approach to do well. But what about you? What sort of decks are you interested in trying out with Ixalan Standard? Any kind of strategies that you want to try? Is there a deck that you've been brewing all this time as the spoilers have been coming out? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be really interested to hear what kind of decks that you're excited to see in Ixalan Standard. In the meantime, if you're interested in even more MTG content, then do check out glimmerofgenius.podbean.com. That's the podcast that I run. I'm going to be doing some recording for that tonight. We're talking all about Ixalan and Magic the Gathering Arena at this point. We discuss all sorts of Magic stuff, so the link for that can be found in the description below. But that's enough from me for now. I need to catch up on some sleep. Very, very worn out after Nats. So if you want to see more videos like this, then I upload content every week. Do consider subscribing so that you're up to date with all the content that I produce. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned for more.